just like that, an ambush happens, and welcome back to Rome 2 Total War, and this is the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest. If you're a Roman in the Teutoburg Forest, you don't stand a chance. You don't know what's going to hit you, and here we go. The Romans are now under attack. Some arrows flying in the legionnaires, and now it's like the general is getting some Praetorian Guard is forming around the general. Some defensive line as a horde of barbarians rush into him. And the Praetorian Guard sort of getting defensive line just to protect their general. But it's not looking too good here. General's relocated. We got a lot of men here on the way out. And on the backside, the flanks of the troops in the center, it's not looking good either. Arrows being poured into the legionnaires right here, and yeah, that's a lot of slingers thrown into these. It's like reserve infantry here. Managed to get some line with the hill behind the protection. In the very rear, oh no, this legionnaire, like a spear, is just surrounded. It's a pretty intense fight. But yes, guys, this is going to be a bit of a different video today. It's a Rome 2 Total War ambush battle, so that's why we got right into the action. Just going to zoom up here. The general, he has a Praetorian Guard with a bit of a, it's almost like a bracket formation defending against these berserkers. These are the most elite Roman troops here, fighting against some, I wouldn't say they're too elite. They're kind of just bare-bone infantry. But the general's taking a lot of arrows in here, or at least spears. So a lot of the general staff is dead over here. But a little bit on lots of unorganization here in the Romans. I don't think the archers are actually going into the battlefield here, but legionnaires are pretty thin here against a very numerically superior barbarian force. You see they're fighting pretty intense sword. In fact, it might be crazy, but they look almost a lot bigger than the Romans, unless it's just kind of the angle of the camera. Some Roman reinforcements are coming here to help out the Praetorian Guard, which are fighting off a pretty healthy number of barbarians here. And it looks like some more actually going to flood in between this little gap right here, and they might try to rush the general. The iconic purple Praetorian Guard will be holding. Pretty intense melee combat here, and the general is still in a very precarious situation. Not far behind him is a bunch of barbarians. Going back to the center, it's like the Romans are sort of surviving here. The center push against barbarians wasn't too strong. In the rear, it's just like the Romans are sort of kind of cleaning up over here. There's a lot of legionnaires that are untouched over here. Some slingers thrown into the Roman lanes, but it's not doing any damage. Just Roman cavalry hit right there, but the main battle is right here against the general. The barbarians are trying to make an attack on the general. In fact, it's like cavalry is actually going through. But the general's going to move around to survive. And the general will be, it's like he evacuated just in time, and my gosh, looks like the Romans are patching the hole with archers. But look at that, even more barbarians are coming to the attack here. This is POV from the Praetorian Guard line, which is actually starting to get kind of encircled here in the rear, so this might get a little interesting pretty quickly. A nice old woman, oh, he just took care of business. That guy right there just took care of business. But this is pretty much the main conflict here. A lot of shirtless guys are rushing into the Roman lines. It looks like the archers might have position. Ooh, those opposing arrows. In fact, yeah, it looks like the barbarians actually broke through this legionnaire line. But as soon as these archers start shooting at this horde of unarmored troops, they're going to do some serious damage. Looks like they're still trying to move to position. There we go. Here comes the volleys, they were much needed. The general's still running for his life back there, but the arrows are going right into the the barbarian lines. And these guys have like no armor, so it's going to sting. Well, actually, probably do a lot worse than sting. It'll probably kill you. And just kind of a little overlay here. The Praetorian line is starting to really thin out over here. Makes me wonder if some of the reinforcements from the rear are going to start marching in here. So let's see. And oh yeah, civilization is on its way. Do not fear. They took care of the rear, and now they're going to help out the general in the front. And they are taking their sweet time. Looking pretty cool when they march. Yeah, they got aura. They got aura. I can't lie. But they're going through some cavalry, which are taking out some loose barbarians. Here comes another fresh line of troops. Going to probably hold his little heel, because the barbarians still have a lot of guys up here, but the Romans are somewhat handling themselves. And oh my god, we missed it. The Praetorian line fell. I did not know that happened. So it's like some of these armored legionnaires are now fighting inches away. Yeah, the archer's gonna move back. But that's a lot of dudes they're holding off here. And look at these guys. These guys are crazy looking. The Romans are doing their best to hold off this little line here. But luckily, they got lots of reinforcements. You can see them creeping in from the rear back there. In fact, it's like the barbarians actually got around this legion once again. Here comes civilization. And here comes a nice little legion charge. Where is the general? The general is the person to defend, and I think he's with his legionnaires back here in a pretty safe location. He survived. I mean, he lost a lot of officers around him, but he is still with us. Here comes a massive push from the Romans down the hill. They'll try their best to push out this barbarian assault. And that's a lot of legionnaires starting to push up here. Kind of run into the archers here, but they'll eventually get through, and here they come. Ready to handle some business, and the reinforcements are now piling in. Heavy reinforcements, a heavy clash of shields now. Looks like the barbarians are finally starting to tail and run away. They kind of understand that you can't beat this. And that is a lot of fresh legionnaires who did a really good job in the very rear. The barbarians, looks like they were trying to attack and just weaken or even just kill the Roman general. They nearly succeeded. They definitely weakened their army, but they did fail to kill him. It looks like the Romans are going to have a little rout here, and looks like they're going to actually withstand and hold position here. And the general is actually victorious in today's battlefield. He's already away with his sword up in the air. He's already celebrating. He knows he has taken the advantage. But it's battle like these that the Romans can't keep marching. They're going to have to, as soon as they clean up this little pocket of resistance right here. Nah, they're running. They're running for the hills. Oh, archers right in the shooting in the back. But unfortunately for the Romans, they took some significant casualties, and they're going to have to probably hold out and defend this location for the next day or two. So as you see here, lots of Roman lines are still intact, but if you also look in the mix, there's a lot of dead Romans, and we're pretty far from Rome, so reinforcements are going to be kind of scarce. So I'm curious to see what defensive maneuvers are going to do, defensive tactics are going to do. Because they may have won this battle, but they're going to have to survive the next few days. So, there it is. Let's run through the casualties numbers, and let's see what the next battle entails with this troop. Exactly 4,000 Romans deployed, 1,500 casualties. That's about 35–40% loss. That's not good. It's actually unsustainable. They killed 3,500, and that was only against 5,000 barbarians. So unfortunately for the Romans, their battle's not over. And ladies and gentlemen, do not leave. There is another battle to be said with these Romans. Can they
see them and let them feel fear?
Well,
they may have
unfortunate
matches,
for the Romans.
but let them see they have
Let's
a
let the
fight.
general talk first. Fortunate for the Romans. A couple days after the battle, they got a few reinforcements. Few of the casualties able to heal back to combat status. They only have roughly 3,500 troops. And scouts nearby have recently reported that the barbarian numbers are nearly twice what the ambush was. Approximately 11,000 barbarians are estimated to be attacking. The general, after his troops held off against an ambush, weakened to death, and very weak now, did everything he can to mount up defensive. For the last day, he's been reinforced here in this bit of a valley just beneath the hill, taking use of the openness, and his flanks being protected by spots for his cavalry to charge right here, and an easy choke point against this mountain. However, 10,000 troops versus 3,000 is a number that is, you can't win. And I believe the Roman generals and the Roman soldiers know, unfortunately, today might be their very last day. But they are not going to go without a fight. 3 ranks thick, 2 ranks in the flank. And also, And a little bit of a trap. Some traps set in the mountains here. Some spikes to prevent cavalry. And a little bit of rudimentary barricades to defend against the onslaught. It's not much, but it might just be enough for them to defend and survive. Distant scouts have noticed that there was a couple troops spotted. A couple barbarian forces have been spotted trying to flank around the mountains. Not very many have been seen, but it's believed that maybe a couple armies worth, maybe a few hundred men, will be attempting to scale the mountain behind the Roman defenses. However, this is to be expected. The Romans did acknowledge this is a possibility. It's a very easy choke point and very defensible. The main combat is going to be pushing this hill. Now it's just a waiting game. Approximately just an hour after, the war drums have rang. And now, through the hills, hundreds, if not thousands of barbarians just crested the mountain, covered by the backside. And they just run straight into the Roman line. The Romans only seen them for minutes and now have already engaged in sword with them. And the arrows go firing right into the line. Hundreds of men are getting shot. Hundreds of arrows being fired. And just like that, the clashes of the potential last stand of the Romans is now happening. Hundreds and hundreds of barbarians are now pushing the line. The Roman archers doing the best they can to sustain fire. And now as the Roman spears are the first in the battle, they are engaging but surrounded quickly. The Roman archers are not letting up. They are throwing everything they have at the barbarian force. And just like that, hundreds of men are now clashed, and the Roman line actually took a beating right here. I mean, look how many men they're fighting here. They're unarmored, but there's plenty of them. Looks like barbarian lines also have some archers and some maybe rudimentary slingers thrown into the armor, but they know they're not going to pierce much of the Roman armor. They're going to at least do some damage, maybe get one or two, and that adds up. And here's some firing going to the line. It's like nothing got through, but look. Just look at this point of view from the archers here. Actually, let's look at the general's point of view. Imagine having to command this army. Let's let some cavalry flank on the left flank here. This is a bird's eye view of the battle, and it's quite intense. And some cavalry is charging the Roman line, and it went through. And that really, oh man, that's a lot. But there's already some Roman cavalry is going to try to help out from the flank, but it's a little too late. Look how many Romans lay on the ground. Many get back up, but many are dead. And here comes the archers firing everything they have. Look how many men are on this hill. 10,000 troops suspected. Just firing flame arrow after flame arrow. Those are the generals now moving some troops into reinforce this hill. And actually, I forgot to show this part. They did flank around the hill. And it looks like one of the Praetorian guards is moving up here, I believe. But so far they're holding the hill up pretty well. The main battle is this center. Looks like, hey, watch out. Roman cavalry is getting a little tricky back here. Looks like they might attempt a flank maneuver. We'll keep an eye on that for later. But for now, the Roman first line is still actually holding, and it's holding pretty effectively. Barbarian casualties are, very high. Let's just say that. There's a little push here, right into the Roman lines. Look how many spears are in these guys' shields. I mean, it is intense. More flame arrows going into it. Golly, that is devastating. But don't look confused. Look how many more barbarians are yet to even go into the fight. I saw this Roman cavalry. Look at these guys are back here. They might attempt a bit of a flank maneuver, actually. Oh, like they are doing that. We'll keep an eye on that. From the general's point of view here, the center is the focus. He's got arrow after arrow being launched into it. Some of his most elite troops are guarding the fronts, and they're just trying to hold. So far, the Romans have defended their flank quite effectively. And up here on the hill, the Romans did a really good job actually holding off. Praetorian Guard is actually up here. See, they're most elite. So, should be fine. And, man, these archers are working overtime in the center right here. Well, look, there you go. The cavalry's now charging. This ought to be interesting. A really good maneuver from the Roman. And that's going to inflict Oh, yeah, that's going to inflict some massive casualties in that number. Look at that. Just running over men. And the arrows hit him from the back. That was a really good maneuver. Kind of like the movie Gladiator. I guess what they do echoes into eternity, you know? The Roman right flank here is actually starting to get a lot of pressure. In fact, looks like the Barbarians actually outflanked the right flank. So might get kind of hairy. Keep a really good eye on that. But the center is holding really well. In fact, the Barbarians look like they're kind of getting pushed back. So really, really good defense. And another Roman charge. Watch this. Oh, that's a Barbarian force. They ran to their own men. The cavalry is now trapped there, but it's doing serious damage. And it looks like the left flank is actually held. And yeah, Romans are now moving some reinforcements over the right because, yeah, it's starting to look really bad here. The mountain, the Romans are still holding. They're thinning out. Actually, they're thinning out really badly, but they are still holding here in this mountain. This is pretty intense combat, but it's not as intense as here. And here comes it's like another barbarian push here from the center. Just fighting with everything they got. But look, even though that the berserkers are really fast and they will run behind you, that's what they're good for. Unfortunately, this Roman legion is discovering that, and nor the choppiness. There's almost 15,000 troops fighting right now, so. Nice little 1v1. Okay. And the Roman line's really starting to thin on this right flank. In fact, some of the Romans are actually breaking. Then you start moving troops from the left flank over because, I mean, just look how many they are. And kind of from the Roman or the barbarian management or general positions, probably what he sees. And yeah, that's a lot of barbarians and not a lot more Romans. The Roman lines is now starting to show a little bit of cracks in the area, and it looks like, oh no, the archers are out of ammo. Looks like he's going to commit the archers in the battle. And another cavalry charge. Didn't really go too well. Some got through, but not too many. And now the archers are in the melee. That's something you do never want to see. That's for every man's going to fight. Especially when you run out of ammo. I mean, these guys just have like daggers. And the battle is intense. I mean, there is thousands. And look how many more there is to go. Look at that. It is unbearable. There's thousands of barbarians right now. And here comes a big push on this second line. They are now past the walls. And they are going to try to encircle this Roman legion right here. And let's check how the Roman line is doing on the hill. Oh, it's so thin. It's so thin, but it's holding. It ain't holding well, but it's holding. And the Roman general's now thinking, what's he got to do? He doesn't have very many troops to play with. Looks like he's already committed his left flank into the combat. And oh no, that right flank has completely collapsed. Look at this. Barbarians are literally forming inside Roman lines. And they're going to encircle this poor legion. Oh man. Here comes some more Roman reinforcements, hoping to just take out as many as they can. Maybe the barbarians will break, maybe. But they're just getting encircled. I mean, the general's about to be attacked himself. Look, troops in the center are starting to waver. This is not a good sign. These Romans have been through it the last few days, and unfortunately, this might be the last stand. And the Romans are now committing their last legion they can send. And now they're in the battle. In fact, the general has decided to go into the battle himself. The general is now fighting alongside his men. He knows it's over. He's going to fight with them. He's not a coward. They won once. Maybe they can pull off a miracle and break the barbarians, but just look at that. There's nothing you can do. He's still fighting strong, and looks like they're actually rushing down the mountain now. Then another charge from the general. Heroic. He took a lot of men out right there, but looks like he's going to go down with his men. This is the thing they'll build a statue for in Rome. The 8th Legion. They fought 2 battles in Teutoburg, and unfortunately, it's not looking good. They still have some line organization, but it's starting to waver. Here comes the general for one more huzzah. And just like that, every man is running for his life, and it is a mass rout. Thousands of men, and these poor Romans are completely unorganized and shocked, and they are desperately running for their life. And I believe the general has fallen. And look at this, a duel at the end, and the Romans fall. The barbarians are proclaiming victory. Brutal. I mean, the casualties in the number are absolutely unfathomable. Thousands and thousands of men on both sides lay dead. Almost 11,000 barbarians, nearly outnumbered the Romans almost 4 to 1. And as you can see, the Romans they held strong. They inflicted insane casualties. But after all, it's the victor who writes the history book. And unfortunately, the 8th Legion was completely destroyed. Here's the numbers. 3,000 deployed. They killed 5,000. An unbelievable kill-to-death ratio. Barbarians, almost 11,000 troops. Look at the loss numbers. The Romans fought so hard, but they just didn't have the numbers. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video. This was a bit of a different one, I know, but if you like this, let me know. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers as soon as we can. If you want anything particular you want to see, any battles, just comment down below what you want. Or if you want to play, we have a 3v3 coming up hopefully tomorrow. So this time the video is released. If you see it, we might have some spots open still. Please comment down below because we do need more people. But yeah, guys, that would do it for today. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one, guys.